What's up, everybody? It's your boys Gin and Juice back at it again, and today we're talking about repacks.
Repacks.
Yeah, repacks. Now, before we get into the video, by the time this comes out, we'll probably be right at 100K or just a little bit over. So, congrats, buddy.
Yeah,
After
we did it.
years of doing this, we're hitting 100K. Feels amazing. We're gonna have a little plaque behind us at some point. Can't wait to do that. But to everybody out there, thanks so much for subscribing and watching the videos. We really appreciate it.
For the many years of support.
First things first, if you don't know what a repack is a where a individual takes a bunch of their probably raw or graded cards and they put them in basically boxes, and it's at random when you buy them.
Like a mystery pack.
Like a mystery pack. Typically, there's multiple different, there's different types of repacks. You can get the repacks where someone creates an entire checklist and tells you what's in there, and there's a set number of repacks, and then you go from there. Others has, hey, this is cards
Some of the chase cards.
Yeah, cards that could be in there, or like-minded cards, or they might call them like GOATs or particular sports. But basically, they might give you an insight to what could potentially be in there. And then go from there.
And then it's all like it could be single sports, like all basketball. It could be multi-sports, across all avenues. So there's a plethora of potential, mystery boxes or mystery packs for these repacks.
Now, typically, what I've been seeing, what a lot of breakers have been doing, are the multi-sport repacks.
Yeah, makes it a little bit easier.
A little bit easier, and that's kind of like the theme of repacks at the moment. Now, there's been a couple videos of repacks already out there. We talked about repacks already before on the channel. Previously, we actually opened up repacks sent to us from Chasing the Hobby. Now, that was somewhat of a promotional video.
Yep.
Right out of the gate, I like the idea of repacks, but some people do it a lot better than others, but there still is always a risk. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today.
Right. Go through our experiences and kind of like the pros, the cons, and like kind of like our personal opinions on what we thought about repacks and what our opinions are on repacks going forward.
So one of the repacks that I've been in is actually quite frequently I've been doing Backyard Breaks repacks, and I've been doing Bridgeport Hobby repacks.
Okay.
Bridgeport Hobby repacks, personally, they're a little bit cheaper, little bit better result that I've seen.
Okay.
Again, if you have your own opinion about repacks, completely understand. This is just to tell you our experiences.
Yeah.
The backyard repacks have been the most interesting. Some of the and I'll have a couple. I recorded an entire repack that I was in from my desktop, so I'll be showing a couple of clips from that particular repack, and just let you see what type of cards that were in it. Now, typically, how their repacks work is they have their team sheet. Their team sheet is going to be like, say, for instance, if you have the Angels or you pick the Rams, and that you have the Rams, the Angels, the Lakers, and then whatever their hockey team is. And basically, if you're in that repack, what you pay that price for that particular spot, and any cards you get go to you based on those teams. So, like, really popular Otanis are in there. Anything like Laker autos or LeBron James patches, things like that can go into there.
So this was more like a normal break where you would get random teams and then they would open all of the repacks.
Not random teams. It would be you would have to buy the team.
Okay.
So it was
at
random.
Break.
Right.
All the packs get so it'd be like a lot of maybe 20 packs.
Right.
Okay. So a little different than some of the breaks or some of the repacks that I've done. I've done a lot of like the hit parade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, obviously they give you like a couple of players that are pretty big. I think they had a Fleer one where you could potentially pull like a Jordan.
Right.
Maybe 6 Fleer Jordan. Yeah. But I got a lot of other players, and I think those are usually numbered to like 100, or depending on the price, it may even be lower.
Yeah, and see, like, that's kind of a unique repack because they're numbered.
Yep.
The Backyard Breaks, they make a case of like 20 boxes, and it is what it is.
Right. Is there any checklist that you can look over?
No checklist.
Do they even at least tell you like some of the hits you can get?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. No hits, no checklists. It is they tell you, okay, like these kryptonites, and the kryptonite like floor is like $85, but the ceiling's like $1,000. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to have it on the screen though when I'm talking about this, so you'll see what exactly the floor is of those particular products. So typically they do these things called kryptonite flamethrowers or the sparks.
Right. Sparks
are a little bit cheaper. So I've been getting in a handful of those for my own research, taking a chance. Obviously, probably after this, I'm not going to do any more, but it is what it is. I will tell you, every single time, I never made my money. Now, granted, it is 100% a risk.
Yeah, it's a big
I'm
gamble.
going in there knowing that it's a huge gamble.
Yeah.
However, I'm going in there thinking I'm going to get a certain value of card, and it's just never the case.
You mentioned a floor, the lowest value of a card. You talk about ceiling. Those are what everyone would consider the hit or the chase in that repack is, and then most people give you an average.
Yeah.
Like, what you should kind of expect on an average.
Yeah.
Are they close, not close? Like in terms of all of the repacks you've been involved in, like are they close to the average, or would you say you've been more below average than?
More below average.
Okay. Which is understandable because, they're, having to make the price of the packs affordable.
Well, they don't even make it really affordable.
Oh.
It's like, it's absolutely a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, they're the worst repacks I've ever seen in my entire life. I will actually show you the videos and some of the images here, and you will see the on average of what these products came from. I will show how much I spent on the teams and what the results were of that. Now, when you get a hit, there's been one time that I came really close, and when I got the Houston Texans, and I got a couple CJ Stroud cards that were graded. That I did really well with. Okay. But like, if you do this, just know that you're not going to hit. The big thing is, I think people understand that, but the value of the card that you get when you actually hit needs to hit in their guidelines. 9 times out of 10, the card is never the price of it's never the price of like an average. It's always at the floor or lower. And that's one of my biggest gripes about repacks at the moment.
Right, because the time that the card and that repack was made, the value of a card could be like $900, and then like 3-6 months later, that card could drop down to like a $50 card.
You think that, right? These repacks that they do, they actually print on the back of every box that they open up when it was made.
Oh, okay.
So there's a white sticker on the back that says, hey, this was packaged at this date. So they're all relatively new.
Okay, that's good.
Which is okay at times, but the idea of they're going to be able to get away with it in a sense because people are buying these teams expecting this value. Now, how they get the price on the teams is interesting because they do it as a team break, and 9 times out of 10, like the New York Giants, the Falcons, the Rams, they're all pretty expensive because of the flip side with baseball. They have the Braves, they have the Yankees, and then they have the Angels where they can raise the value there. But like, for instance, I bought the Giants one time. It was like $500. And this is the card I got. And I'm going to show you here. It is a Yogi Berra PSA 6. Now, I bought that. I got one card in the entire break. That's the risk. Now, granted, one kryptonite is like $250 is the price for it. You think that's the average? This card is like $110. So it's not. It's almost always when you get a card, it's almost close to the floor of the product.
Right.
I never see you open up the box. I'll take that back. I rarely see anybody open up a box and it's the value of what they paid for the box.
Right, where they break even.
Right. And typically, if you're selling that product, you want to get the cards closer to breaking even than the floor.
Right.
And in these products, the cards are way below what the actual box is. Well, how they get you, right? is typically if they do this thing where they do like 60 kryptonites. 60 kryptonites on average, or their price is like $250. That $250, there's 60 of them. So they have their teams. They basically take 250 times 60 to get the total price, and then they divide that up by all their teams.
Right.
So you or me, we buy into the break, and say we pay $500 for the Houston Texans. Any Houston Texans you get in that, great. But they also have one thing where it's a case hit in that box where it's a flamethrower or the torch or whatever they have, and it's basically a card that you could potentially make your money back right away. So they have these gimmicks and these things where people take those chances and so forth, but 99% of the time it is absolute garbage. And this is not just a strict bash on backyard breaks. This is generally how repacks are working these days. Bridgeport Hobby, in my opinion, they are a little bit of the cheaper. They basically set their price at either like $90, $100, or $130 a spot, and they basically say there's 32 teams, $100 a spot, and they only have 20 repacks. So you might hit or you might not. Now, when you buy one of theirs, you also get a team for free typically.
Okay.
So they're trying to make it fair as possible.
Right.
They don't do a checklist themselves, but they do show off the videos like, hey, we're going to be doing a call it like a repack surrounded by case hits. Okay. So it's downtowns, things like that. And at least they show the cards there. Now, it's not a physical checklist you can go back and look at, but you know what the break is you're getting into, and it's going to be some type of case hit. So like micro mosaics, stained glasses, downtowns, kabooms, you name it. Now, they might not be the best player kabooms or anything like that, but at least you know what you're getting into. You've kind of seen the videos, and they also do videos where they're like, hey, these 5 are going to be in this repack. Okay. They don't do it all the time, but they do it often enough. And then how they have it set up, it's relatively cheap. Like, I'm not spending $500 for a potential, and I get a Yogi Berra that's $100 card. Yeah. Now, again, I'm not complaining about that. I understand the risk. People are like, why are you buying into repacks anyway? Completely understand, and I get it. But for the sake of understanding these repacks, the value needs to be close to at least average and not always near the floor. Right. Or below the floor. When it's below the floor, that's when it's, in my point, catastrophic.
Depending on, like you said, when the cards were comped, you know, if you finally sell all of it 6 months later, your prices can definitely change a lot in that time. So it makes doing repacks very difficult because you need something that sells out really quick.
Right.
And agree. I mean, we've been in a couple Louisville Sports Cards repacks too.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us to the next part of the conversation I want to talk about. What are some of the quality items that we look for into a repack? And the cool thing about Louisville Sports Cards repacks that they have, or that they used to have in the past, is they would tell you exactly what the cards were, what's the average is, and what the chases are.
Yep.
And they would always display that.
Yeah.
So in my mind, that's probably the fairest thing you could actually do. Now, there's always going to be some type of gamble and so forth. Again, we're beating a dead horse there. But one of the things I would like to hear from you too, but one of the number one things that I look for in a repack, if it's going to be legitimate, is understanding the cards that are in there, maybe with a checklist or some type of video, and then what the average cost is.
Yeah.
That way I understand, okay, I can look up the value of these cards before I get into this and potentially see how much the actual card is worth.
Yeah, it was nice to have a checklist to know what cards were going to be in the repack. Maybe it doesn't have to be 100% like every card that's in there, but at least some of the ones that are like, you know, at least average or above.
Right.
And then obviously your chase cards. And so I think, you know, I've been lucky to pull a couple like Kobe autos from their repacks.
Which is crazy. We're talking about Kobe autos and things like that. And like I pulled a Michael Jordan rookie card that was authentic.
Yeah.
From them. It's crazy to see the chases and people that know it and the people that enter it, and then they get you typically you get the value back of what you paid for or close to it, and they do announce, hey, there's about 7 floor packs.
Yeah.
Like 7 of you are not going to make anything,
right?
But at least you know the odds.
Yeah.
You know the odds.
So it was good to. I mean, I think what they benefited from was keeping it small. Like I think there was like 20 boxes or 30 boxes, and then they sold 20 or 30 spots depending on how many boxes they had, and they kind of. We kind of done the math and kind of looked at how it's done. We got kind of like a sneak peek at how they priced it and how they like value the boxes and how they made an average, because I think they were looking for like okay, we need like 10 cards at this price, maybe 5 cards at this price, 3 cards at this top tier price, which will be the chase, and then obviously we'll put like maybe like 10 or 15 maybe lower end cards just to kind of balance everything out. So there was a lot of mathematics to go into like calculating it out. You have to make, again, the packs reasonably priced, so you're gonna have to put some of the lower end stuff to offset some of the bigger pieces, and obviously you want to put in some big names at least, so that it feels like you're getting a chase. You don't want to get the Texans and get a whole bunch of like random people you've never heard of. You want at least a few names, like you want a few CJ Stroud cards at least to make it feel like, hey, I think I made out okay at least.
To give them credit and not be 100% negative towards backyard breaks, but to give them credit, they at least go after big names in their repacks.
Okay,
so good. A lot of their repacks have big names. You never see like a no name. But again, it's about getting quality of the card still, and at least if I open up this box by taking a chance, I'm as a person, as an individual, I would probably be okay with losing $20-$40, maybe open up a product and you making money off of me, knowing that I'm not going to hit the chase. What I'm not okay with is when I open up the product and I open up the product and I open up the product, and when I look at it, and every single time it's 50% less, 60% less, 80% less of what the actual cost is to open up that product. That's where it starts getting a little bit of shady. Like, okay, you're just throwing in shit product, and just because the player's name is solid, you are okay with charging this price.
Right.
Because to dome a $250 box and get a $85 card or a $60 card or a $50 card is tough.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
Like, arguably you could make the joke that Panini probably does that as well, but when you're supposed to be in the hobby and so forth, like it's just a weird thing. Like, even if you open up a $250 product and you get $125 back, like that's pretty rough. 50%, and on average all the other ones are like that, 50% or more that you're losing. There's no way in hell that an individual got that many of the floor cards in a row, for instance.
Right.
And again, with the video, and I might actually share the entire video, make a Google Doc. And like, if you guys want to click, I'll leave it in the description. I will upload that to a Google Drive, and you can watch the entire video. Because one thing with them, you can't find any of their videos. It's all live.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't go back and look either. So I will upload this entire video on a Google Drive and make it lock, so like people can only view it.
Right.
But you guys can watch the entire break. I will have that video up there of a particular break. And you guys could, for yourself, look at the card, look at the data, and go from there. All right, everybody. So do us a huge favor. Leave a couple comments below. Share your stories. Let us know some of your repack experiences from a positive, negative, exactly, good or bad. Overall, I think repacks have a place in the hobby and could be fun. I think there needs to be a better standard for repacks. I think there's a solid amount of individuals who are trying. But we can drastically see there's been a change recently. Everybody's into repacks right now. It is the hit thing right now.
Yeah.
And if it's going to stay a hit thing, we got to do better as a community. We got to do better as individuals in the hobby. And there has to be some type of standard put in place.
Yeah, there needs to be accountability. I think as a community, if we come together and kind of give guidelines and critiques and things like that, then we can start to have better repack experiences and better repack products. Because we're all navigating this gray area and, you know, murky waters of what, you know, repacks are and value. And because it's so subjective on cards, on like what a person values a card versus another person, because someone could see this as a 10 but another person sees it as an 8, and so there's no real clear-cut standard, so we have to figure out a way to navigate that.
All right, everybody, we appreciate you guys coming through. Make sure you like this video, leave a comment below, and share it with someone that you've been talking to about repacks, and hopefully some of the information that we shared today helps out. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Deuces!